Hi friends, welcome to the Wildflower Magic Podcast. My name is Katie, or Caitlin, depending on where you know me from. I'm coming to you from Virginia, where I live with my partner Alan, our 3 dogs, 2 cats, and a bunny. I can be found on Instagram as Wildflower Magic 18 and on Ravelry as Wildflower Magic. I'm very active on Instagram. I'm not great at Ravelry. I'm practicing. I'll get there someday, maybe. It has been about 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks since I recorded my last episode. So I'm going to start with what I finished since then. I finished my What the Fade shawl by Drea Renee Knits, Andrea Mowry. This is a 6-skein fingering weight shawl. And I am entirely obsessed with it. It is reversible because it's just brioche and garter stitch, so you can wear kind of whichever color fits you best, or whichever one you like that day. Aurora, leave it. Go lay down. Go lay down. The neighbor's dogs are outside. Okay, so all of this yarn is by Queen City. I don't have all of the colorway names. All of my tags are in my little box over there somewhere, and someday I'll get my life together enough to find them and actually write them down, but that's not today. I love that this shawl has tassels. I play with them all the time. I love it so much. I really enjoyed making this in general. I loved the miles of garter stitch. I love fades in general. Fading yarns together and playing with blending colors just makes my heart super happy. So I really enjoyed all of this, including the almost 600 stitch I cord bind off. It took me like 4.5 hours to get that done, but it was really fun and I love it so much. So I have hardly taken this off since I finished it a few days ago, which I'm not complaining. Thankfully, my cats don't like playing with the tassels as much as I do, because when I wear this shawl, my tassels come down to like my knees. So if my cats enjoyed playing with them or like wanted to play with them, that would not be as much fun. So that is the thing that I finished. I have been kind of in a cast-on frenzy lately, and now I have found that I am quite overwhelmed with all of the projects that I have going, or all of the projects that I have deadlines on, and I'm spending a lot of time trying to decide what to knit on. So I'm a little overwhelmed. I used to be a monogamous knitter. I used to only knit one project at a time, and then I found sock knitting. So I had socks and another project going at the same time. And now I work at a yarn store, and it's just spiraled downhill from there. And now I have so much going on. It's a lot. To a lot of people, it's not a lot, but to me, it's a lot. So since, actually, I'll show you the ones that I talked about in my last episode. So this is Twisted Ambition. This is Rainbow Graffiti is the colorway name, and this yarn glows under black lights, and it is incredible. It makes me so happy. I love it. This is what the cake looks like. Again, Twisted Ambition fibers, and the colorway is Rainbow Graffiti. This is just a vanilla sock. I just needed a project that I can grab when I can't look at what I'm knitting. I went to an event where I couldn't look at my knitting, so I needed a vanilla sock. My vanilla sock recipe is 64 stitches on a US 1 2.25 millimeter needle. I do 9-inch circulars. That's my favorite. I do 20 or 25 rounds of a cuff, and then I knit the leg until I don't feel like it anymore, at which point I will do a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset, and then I do a rounded toe. It depends. My leg length is usually around 60 or 70 rows, or rounds, but I don't really try for that. I usually just go until I'm at a point where I don't need just stockinette anymore. So that's been fun, but it has been on the back burner just because I haven't really needed just a stockinette pattern very often. And that's kind of the only time that one gets worked on right now. My other sock that I have on the needle is, I lost my mini skein. Oh, there it is. My mini skein rolled away. So my partner Alan picked out, he loves hand-knitted socks, almost as much as I love making them. And he picked out this yarn, also by Twisted Ambition Yarns. This is called Don't Rock the Jukebox. And he picked out this contrasting mini that's fall orange. This one's by Sheep Graffiti. And he requested socks. So I decided to use this yarn to test knit a pattern by Sarah Dawn's Designs. And the pattern is called Brick Socks. And this is what it's looking like so far. It's just this fun textured pattern that kind of looks like bricks. The cuff she called for is 2.5 inches, so that's what I did. It's a little bit longer than what I usually do, but that's fine. The pattern called for a 2x2 rib. I did a 1x1 just because it's tighter, and I think my 1x1 ribbing looks neater than a 2x2. What else? I do his cuffs on a US size 0 just to make them really, really tight because he is very tall but very thin. So he likes his cuffs to be really tight so that his socks aren't moving around all day, especially since he wears them in his work boots all the time. And then just this fun little texture pattern that I thought looked really cool in these colors. The reason that there is this much orange at the top is because I know from measuring previous socks that I made for Alan that it takes approximately 7 grams for heels and toes on each sock, so 14 grams total. So I would have 6 grams of this mini left over. So I knit about 2.5 grams in orange before I switch to the main color, just because, first of all, I'd like to use as much as possible, and second of all, I really like having this pop of color at the top, and he's excited about it because this is what's gonna be above his work boots. So he's really excited for that. Yeah, I switched to a size 1 for the leg. I don't remember if I said that or not, but I have to get these done by the end of the month. So I need to work on these. These are probably at the top of my priority list at the moment. But yeah, so those are the 2 socks that I have cast on. I do have to cast on another pair of socks within the next couple of days because I'm teaching a sock class at the yarn store that I work at. And it's a beginner sock class. We're doing cuff down on 9-inch circulars. The pattern that we're using is called Mermaid Avenue, and I chose that pattern because it has a very simple stitch texture throughout the leg and the top of the foot, which will keep it interesting, but not be complicated and overwhelming because the students are learning all new sock techniques. I think one of them has made toe-up socks, and the rest of them have not completed socks yet. So it's a lot of new techniques and a lot of new information, so I didn't want it to be boring, but I also didn't want it to be overwhelming. So I picked a very simple, a pattern with a very simple text. Let me try that again. I chose a pattern with a very simple texture stitch design, and it's called Mermaid Avenue. So I am using this mini, this is Eggplant, as the heels, toes, and cuffs. I bought 2 of them, so I had enough to do all of that. And this is the main color that I'm going to be using. This is 29 Bridges, and this is the colorway Sentimental. So I will be casting these on soon. I need to have the cuff and some of the leg done by Monday, because Monday is when the class starts, and I would like to have a significant portion of the leg done prior to going into class. So those will need to be cast on soon. If you can hear a lot of strange sounds, it is my rabbit eating a cardboard box. We call it bunstruction. Alan calls it, what does he call it? Bunstroying. He calls it bunstroying. But that's what he does. That's what Hazel does all day. Okay, so those are socks. The other thing that I cast on since my last podcast is a hat. I think I talked about it. A family member has recently finished undergoing chemo, so I'm making her a hat. This is a 100% Peruvian cotton yarn, and I wanted it to be really light, and I wanted it to have a very loose gauge so that she could wear it even though it is getting very warm in South Carolina where she lives. So this hat was a great fit. This is called the balloon hat. It's kind of early to tell, but this is a cable stitch design, and it'll make little balloons. It looks very cute. I'm really happy with the gauge and the fabric that it's creating. It is not going to be super warm, and it's extremely soft cotton, so that's really exciting. I have to show off the stitch marker. This is part of the Wildflower pack by Twin Mountain Handcrafts. They had a trunk show at the yarn store I work at 2 weekends ago, and I had to buy the Wildflower pack, of course. I have another one. This is another one. Whoops. Try that again. This is another one that came in that pack as well. They're just so precious. Of course I had to get the Wildflower ones. This hat needs to be done relatively soon because I'm going to my parents this weekend, and she lives right by my parents, so this will get cranked out pretty quickly. I am using the Addy Rocket squared needles, so they have these grooves in them, and they are actually square tips instead of round, and they're supposed to be more ergonomic, which I'd never tried them before, so I decided I needed to give them a go so that I could, tell people what I honestly thought when people asked me about it. I am not a huge fan. I think they probably are a little more ergonomic just because you don't have to grip them quite as tightly since they are squared, but I don't like the ridges. They slow me down a lot, and I find that I get caught on myself a lot, like on the other needle a lot while I'm knitting, and so I am not a huge fan. But a lot of people really like them, so that's you. Cool. So that's going to be this hat. I will get it cranked out probably today and tomorrow. And I'll be done with it. So I have several, I think I have 4 more repeats of, oh my goodness. I think I have to repeat this section 4 more times before I do the crown decreases. So it shouldn't take me too long. Okay, the other thing that I have cast on, I think I said that multiple times, but I cast on another thing. And the reason that I worked so hard to get this done by Saturday was because on Saturday I hosted a cast-on party for the open Bar Shawl. I'm hosting a knit-along, and we had our cast-on party. The open Bar Shawl is a 3-color fingering weight shawl that Callie Monster of Monster Knits just released. So I will show you my colors. My first color is Little Miss Sunshine by 29 Bridges. My second color is Dreams by Woolen Vinyl. And my third color is Swimming Upstream by Sheep Graffiti. This is coming up very, very pink. It's a little more salmon-y in real life. It's a little more like that as opposed to I don't know. Screens are weird. So these are my 3 colors. I love them so much. I'm very excited to show you this. This is the start of my shawl. Oh, and another Wildflower stitch marker. So we have this fun, I forget what the pattern calls it, but it's slip stitches and just a fun little texture. And then we have our ripples where we're using all 3 colors. Sorry, our chevrons where we use all 3 colors, and then our ripples where we use 2 colors and do this kind of lacy bit. So I ripped this out the first time. I got all of this yellow part done, and then I decided I didn't like the fabric because I was knitting very tight. I knit very tightly anyway, and I needed to go up a needle size. So I got all of this done, and then I pulled all of it out and started over. So the pattern calls for a US size 4. I'm on a 5. And then when we go up to the chevrons, the pattern suggests you go up 2 needle sizes because chevrons tighten your gauge a lot. Chevrons are very tight. And I went up to a 7. Yes, I went up to a 7. The pattern calls for like a 6, I think. And then back down for the ripple section. Yeah, so this has been really fun. We've been doing social knitting. Well, we have done. It's only been once, but we've done social knitting after the cast-on party at the store today. That was a really good time. I'm really enjoying seeing everybody's projects grow, and everyone chose such different colors, and it's just really cool to see how everything's working up so differently. That's been a lot of fun. I really want to devote a lot of time to that pattern, but that one doesn't have a deadline, and actually I should not speed up on that too much because I do want to be able to participate and knit it along for the full duration. So I'm trying to refrain from just focusing all of my time and effort onto that pattern and pick something that has a deadline. Speaking of deadlines, I was accepted for a test knit for a shawl called the Garden Song Shawl, and it calls for one color, but I could not decide what color I wanted to do, and then I decided that I absolutely could not separate these 2 yarns, so my shawl will be a 2-color shawl. I have not decided how I'm going to color block yet. I don't know. We'll see. I have to read through the pattern again and figure out what I want to do. But my 2 colors are both from Life in the Long Grass, and it is their 50% merino, 50% silk blend, which is just so incredibly lovely to touch. This is Pink Haze. It's kind of a lilac-y, pinky purple. And then Bouquet. So pretty. So these will be a Garden Song shawl soon. I think I have 3 weeks to finish it. So I need to decide what I'm doing and then do it. That's very exciting. I'm so excited to use this yarn. It is so incredibly soft and lovely to I just touch it all the time. I love redoing the silk wall at work because we have all of our silks just hanging on a rack, and I love getting to redo that because I just get to pet the yarn all day. So I think that is all of the things that I have cast on or that I am about to cast on. Like I said, I'm a little overwhelmed with projects, so I'm kind of not gonna cast anything else on right now until some of these things get wrapped up. I will have the hat done in a couple days, and I will probably have my brick socks done soon. But I need to get a couple of these things off the needle because it is a little overwhelming. For me, I know for a lot of people, I don't have necessarily a huge stash or even a lot of WIPS going right now, but for me, this is a lot. And I would like to tone it back a little bit. Oh, I forgot to mention, because I don't have the yarn in front of me, so it slipped my mind, but I'm about to be doing a store sample. I'm going to be knitting with plied fingering and holding it double with a Surrey alpaca, the Cumulus Surrey alpaca. And I'm just going to make some fingerless mitts as a shop sample just to put next to those yarns, so people can pet them and see how they work up. So I will be casting that on soon. That will be done next week probably, because I need to have it done before local yarn store day, which is April 30th. All right, so that is all of the things that I'm casting on, and then I'm taking a break. Taking a break and finishing some things, and then I will cast on more things. I do have other things that I am planning on casting on pretty soon once some of these things get wrapped up. One of those is the Almost Argyle socks by Emily Curtis of 108 Stitches. She released the Almost Argyle socks 2 weeks ago, I think, and I bought the pattern like the minute that it came out. So I've been so excited for this. So I was going to make it my sock clasp pattern. However, it does have a cable stitch in it, and I didn't want someone who maybe has never done cables before to be overwhelmed or be discouraged from taking the class because of cables. So I chose a pattern that was a little more beginner friendly. But I'm excited to make them for me. I already have the yarn purchased and wound for that. All my yarn is ready to go. I just need to get one of these other projects off my needles first. After I finished my brick socks, Alan requested another pair. He requested yellow and black ones that look like bumblebees, like bumblebee stripes, because I have been in a very yellow mood lately. A lot of the things that I'm gravitating towards are very yellow. So I think I'm gonna just get some solid or tonal yellow and black and do the Rainbow Connection pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. It's a really fun combination of slip stitches that kind of color block in a really cool way. And so I think I'm going to do that. I don't remember how much the open bar shawl will use of my main color. I'm guessing I won't have enough to make him a pair of socks afterwards, so I will have to get a different yellow, but I don't know, we'll see. I'll have to look at yardage and see how much I have. But that's going to come up as soon as I'm done with the brick socks. I like to have a pair for him going most of the time because he gets so excited about it. The other thing that I am going to cast on super soon that I'm really excited about is the Great Gingham sweater by Jessie Maed Designs. Jessie Maed released this super cute sweater pattern, and I am going to make it. It calls for sport weight yarn. And the store is getting La Biena May. I think we're getting it next week, if I'm not mistaken. So we're getting an entire giant shipment of brand new La Biena May sport weight yarn. So I'm going to grab some, and I'm going to make Jessie Maed's sweater pattern. I love her patterns because she's so incredibly size inclusive, and she is very inclusive as far as who she has model. She has male identifying models. She has people of color modeling. It's really cool how inclusive she is. So I really like supporting her patterns. I've bought multiple. I have not knit any of them yet, but I do have a whole Jessie Maed collection in my Ravelry project page. Other than that, that is all that I'm planning right now because, again, there's so much. This is a lot. And there's a lot happening, and I'm going to have to figure out how to balance casting on projects because I work at a yarn store, and I just want to buy all of the yarn and cast on all of the things. And then I do buy all of the yarn and cast on all of the things, and then I get very overwhelmed. So we have to find balance. But other than that, as far as non-knitting related things, I'm going to visit my parents this weekend, and I'm very excited about that. They live in Myrtle Beach, so they are like 5-ish hours from me, so I'm going to be driving down there on Thursday. And we've been working around the house a little bit, but not as much as we need to be. I painted some of the house. We're getting there. Yeah, I think that's... Oh, the Sheep and Wool Festival, Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival is coming up really soon in just a couple weeks, and I'm very excited. I'm planning on going with a friend of mine. I've never been to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. I've been to others on the West Coast, but I have not been to any of the East Coast. I haven't been to Maryland or Rhinebeck or any of those things, so I'm really excited to get to go this year. So I'm really looking forward to that. If you're going to be there, let me know, and maybe we can meet up and say hi. I would love that so much. I think that is all that I have to chat about. I am getting a lot of stares from animals. I think it is about dinner time. So I'm going to go do that before they riot because they outnumber me. And I really enjoyed just spending this time with you, and I hope that we get to connect soon. Bye!